Well, everybody, I have the honor of introducing you to my angel, one of my angels, actually. And you're going to be hearing from Paddy Faucher here today. And Paddy was the kind soul who volunteered to come up here from the US and take care of me when I got out of the hospital after my surgery. Now, many of you know my story. So this is the saint that came up to grace us with her phenomenal skills. So I'm going to let her introduce herself and give you some background on her, like her designation and what, you know, why it really important for her to be here. So, Patty, thank you so much for joining us today. Do you want to tell these friendly folks just who you are and what this was all about?
Sure. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Donnie, and to tell our story. I am a registered nurse and have been since 1974. So I have a long history in nursing and started out my nursing in the field of intensive care because I just needed the excitement of that level of healthcare. So I did that for a number of years and absolutely didn't finish my career in that. I finished my career in public health, which is on the preventative side of healthcare. So that was just as intriguing. But coming up, live in Florida. So I came up to stay with Donnie as a post-op nurse because his surgery was so critical. It was obviously nerve-wracking for them to go through such a serious, sudden surgery. And I felt that I had skills to lend a hand to family. And Donnie in particular is a special person for us. So I just volunteered and said, you know what? I've got a couple of weeks. I'm just going to come up and lend a hand, not knowing really what or how Donnie was going to do through this surgery, but figuring, he was going to need some sort of intervention from a nurse. And
Now, Patty, that's from a professional perspective, right? And like because you've cared for people all your life, like I know
yes,
that about you, um,
yes,
and not just in a hospital environment or an operating room environment, but you're just a great caretaker of people. And one of the things that has really kind of knit you close to Bird and I from a heart perspective. So understanding what people go through and experience when, put through surgery like mine, which was like just absolutely invasive, like probably one
mm-hmm.
of the most invasive experiences a body can go through.
Right.
What were your expectations, coming up here in regards to how functional I'd be and what would be
Right.
required on your part?
Well, that was a big question mark for me. What were you going to present to me in your post-op condition? So I was concerned about your mobility. I was concerned about your nutrition. I was concerned about how you were going to do at home after being in intensive care those number of days. That's a big transition, all of a sudden to be at home. Your surgical scar needed care. And you needed a lot. I think I felt beforehand that you would need emotional support because you were stressed, not only with what you had just gone through, but the fact you were coming home and you had a home environment where you had a distracted wife because she had job responsibilities. And I felt like, can I slide in there and be that quiet little partner in the situation and contribute positively?
Now, what ended up happening for you when you got here? What was your experience like?
Well, it was interesting because you were discharged on the day that I arrived. I didn't expect you to be home yet. And so it was a shock that you were well enough to come home at that point. And then just seeing you was like such a surprise because you didn't look as ill as I expected you to be, or weak, or frail. So, initially I went, wow, he's doing really good. I may not be needed here.
And how did that play out for you? Were like was my recovery kind of just unexpected? Was it abnormal?
Oh, you were the star. You're the rock star of recovery from serious surgery. Everything about your physical recovery was phenomenal. I mean, you have a body that didn't react like expected it to. I mean, you didn't have the pain, you didn't have the frailty, and you certainly, I think my biggest concern after 24 hours with you was where was your head at? Because you'd been so traumatized with this emergent surgery and just having your life turned upside down. And then, just kind of figuring what's the path of recovery right now? What's the immediate?
That's interesting because like we hadn't really talked about that. At least I don't think we talked about that. And this is the first I really hear of that kind of surfacing. But
Mhm.
as you talk about that, how did you find my head? How did you find that aspect of my recovery?
Well, I thought that you were really pretty surprised that you felt the way you did. I mean, you're a very engaged person, you're a very busy person, and you just couldn't jump right back into that at all. And I think that you were kind of knocked on your butt for a little bit, trying to figure out, well, not only what can I do, but more what should I do? What would be the most beneficial way into recovery?
Yeah, and I think, well, I don't think I know you were extremely instrumental on that front because, my doctor wanted me to take 6 weeks off and not do anything. And, most people know me, 6 minutes off for me is like a
Yeah,
difficult thing to not be
yeah,
on the go, not be talking to someone, not be in conversation, not be reaching out, not be doing something. And I had to spend 6 weeks and I know we've talked about it, but you were incredibly instrumental in grounding me on that front and helping me through some pretty critical times, like emotionally and
yes,
psychologically for me. So,
yeah.
I don't know if I've gotten an opportunity to thank you enough, but like kudos to you because I know how ornery I can be on that front, right? So you were skilled, and I'm really grateful for that.
Well, actually, you challenged me with with trying to not entertain you, but to distract you. I needed to distract you from what you thought you should be doing. And I don't think that you're the kind of person that really spends a lot of time taking care of yourself very in a focused manner. I think that you just figure you're fine because everything else that you're doing in your life is fine. So I think that I felt it was difficult for you, and I felt emotional, um, feeling your emotion because you had a lot. And I think that where you were overwhelmed, I was very sensitive to that. And I felt you needed to spend time with yourself in healing.
Yeah,
And
I did, and I'll get into that on another interview where I'll really kind of go into depth about that and what that
yeah,
week period was like for me. So, I just want to tap into one more aspect because not only were you here to help me, but the June prior to that, like just prior to that, you'd come up here for Lauren's dad's funeral
yes,
service. And you had experienced some things in Bird in regards to the technology that I believe like just walked me through this like it was a cakewalk. Um, and you've got your own experience with this technology. From a professional's perspective, what was it that even got you to look at what this was all about?
well, you had talked about it for some period of time. But I think that as a nurse, I looked for evidence that there was a difference that was made by using this product. So visiting with Lauren in that visit in June, I did things with her, went to the gym with her, and I got to see how she lived her life. And the quality of her life was really wonderful, and she just breezed through her cardio exercise like it was nothing. She didn't have a recovery time. She just went in there and just knocked me off my feet, seeing how much she was capable of, right? I mean,
Yeah.
she is 9 years younger than me, but I was certainly impressed with her physical condition. And that's very meaningful for me because I have medical conditions that challenge me every day. And so to see her do so well in that respect, her physical, and of course, when you feel physically well, you feel emotionally and mentally stronger too. So that's all part of the game of life. So I was interested in that. So seeing that, just sealed the deal, and I just signed myself right out. And I've been very happy. I've never hesitated since starting. Initially you think, okay, well, what's the impact for me? But it's been over a year now with the patches, and I'm so happy. It makes a difference. I see myself at the gym and I compare myself. I know we're not supposed to compare ourselves. I do. I'm very competitive. And I see what I'm capable of versus others, and I'm very proud of myself, but I have to be very thankful. I have my friend, the patch. The patch is wonderful. I have a higher quality of living. There's no question about that.
Wow, that's so cool. That's so cool. Well, Patty, I can't thank you enough. Well, a couple of things, for like just the sacrifice to leave your husband at home and, like the connection to your family locally and stuff like that, and venture up here to the Great White North to take care of somebody, a grumpy old guy usually, just getting out of ICU. And I'm forever grateful to you on that front. I'm also thrilled that as a professional, you looked into what this technology was all about, made a decision to apply it to your own life, and your experience
Mhm.
it has been a very positive one for you.
I'm a lifer.
So look, thank you so much, folks.
You're welcome.
You heard it here. Paddy Faucher, all the way from Florida, came up here to take care of the grump. And man, oh man, like lots of laughs. We had lots of great fun. And because of what's unfolding, I know there's longevity in our lives for us to continue enjoying each other's company. So if you're intrigued by what's really taking place behind the curtain here, reach out to the person who invited you into this community, and let's get some of that stuff turning around in your life. Paddy Faucher, thank you very much. Love you with all my heart.
Love you too, Donnie.